What's up, Internet? My name is Gray, like the color, and I own Retro Exchange here in sunny Peoria, Arizona, known on eBay, whatnot, and beyond as Rex for short. And today on Rex Knows What's Awesome, Miniature Tabletop Wargaming. Let's dive in. Okay, so I have been a toy collector, dealer, gamer my whole life, okay? And I want to share a little memory with you. My father is an incredible man. I'm extremely lucky to have him. And he spent a career, 38 years, in the United States Air Force. So we always lived on or adjacent to military bases. A big chunk of his career was classified work. I always make fun of him, like, hey, Pop, how are those aliens at Area 51, right? And he just, blah, blah, blah. So because of his classified work, he would be gone for large chunks of time when I was a kid. When he was home, he would spend all the time he had, working on the house and doing stuff and playing with us kids. And one of my favorite things we would do is the classic dime store plastic army man. You know, those little green guys about this tall, the one laying down, the one standing up, the one throwing a grenade. Everybody's seen those. I think they still make the same poses in bags right now at dollar stores, okay? Your classic green little army man has been a toy since I think the 1950s, and he'll probably always be a toy. We played with those a lot. My dad would get on the living room floor with me. He would take a blanket and like fluff it up into a mountain, and we would like poke holes in it for caves. We would take books and build forts, like prop books up as walls and ramps for the little plastic tanks. And we would crawl around on the ground and we would play with these little army men. I know that was a bit of an aside, but it'll come back, trust me. So fast forward many years, and I've already explained in my role-playing games episode how I was turned on to Dungeons and Dragons. And when I learned about cyberpunk and D&D, I lived in Guam. Guam, that's right, it's a little tiny island. The way I think I explained it is if you had a triangle from Hawaii to Australia to like South America, it's like in the middle of that triangle, right? It's out in the Pacific Ocean. Every career military, at least back then, I don't know if it's true anymore, had to do one remote, meaning like a 2-year stint at an international location. In the Air Force in the 80s, there were 2 bases that you could actually take your family with you. One was Ramstein, Germany, and one was Guam. And so my dad did what he had to do. He changed his career title. He left whatever classified stuff he was doing and entered fuels, like, refueling airplanes, and got us orders to Guam. And my family packed up and moved to a tiny 34-mile long, 4-mile wide island in the Pacific Ocean. That's where I learned about role-playing games. And one of the friends I learned it from was actually a military guy himself that I would babysit for. And I saw their books and had asked him, like, what is this? And he explained it to me, and I was like, I want to play. He was like, all right, come on down this weekend. And I learned to play Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. When that guy and his family got orders and left Guam, we had a little like going away party, and he pulled out this box, big box like this. And he says, hey, Gray, whenever you come or go from Guam, you can only take so much weight, right? If you're gonna go there or leave there, the military's like, hey, you get X pounds, and this is what you can take with you. So the yard sales in Guam were mind-blowing. Tons of people. I remember seeing guys on the side of the road with a sign, have orders leaving in 2 hours, we'll take any money for this car, right? Because you can't take stuff easily back and forth. So there was always great yard sales there. When people got orders, they had to sell furniture and stuff to get their weight down. Anyway, he's like, hey, we're packed up. I can't take this. I want you to have it. And I remember opening this box and like the gold light, it was chock full of vintage 1980s Warhammer miniatures, skeletons and knights and goblins. And I was, what is this, right? And there were a couple of books in there that I took home and realized that you had Dungeons and Dragons, which the game takes place up here in your imagination. In modern editions, people use miniatures to fight, but back in 2nd, we really didn't have minis. We'd use a piece of paper or something. It was much more in your imagination, whereas Warhammer is like in person. Like you build castles and mountains and you paint little things and you play through these games. and it's amazing. So I had that box and I taught myself how to paint and stuff, and it's always kind of been on the side of my hobby structure. But recently my son and I have kind of rediscovered it, and Miniature Tabletop Wargaming is awesome. So let's head over to the gaming section where I'll explain why. All right, we're over here in the Retro Exchange Miniature Tabletop Wargaming section, where we carry Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar, The Old World, Marvel, Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, Star Wars Shadowpoint, and Dungeons & Dragons stuff and things like that. Old World just came out, which is kind of a reissue of the original 80s Warhammer Fantasy. So I've been collecting an Empire army and a Vampire Counts army. So like these are the Empire guys I've been doing. I actually 3D printed this little cannon thing here, like a barricade or whatnot, and you got these guys. Age of Sigmar, and a lot of people are, you know, intimidated by the building and painting of models, so I wanted to share something with you. This is an Age of Sigmar like demon. My 12-year-old son painted this using something called slap chop. That's right, slap chop, yeah, right? That's what it's called, slap chop. You can go on YouTube and find ways to do it. You basically prime it black, you dry brush it in gray and white, and then you use contrast paints, which are like an ink, and you get a very good paint job very easily. He's 12, he has the attention span of a gnat, and he did this in like one sitting. So slap chop, super cool. Of course, probably the big guy, Warhammer 40K. I personally play Ultramarines, so I've been building my Ultramarines army. There's some of those. Lately, my flavor has been vintage. So I've been reclaiming like old 1990s second edition and Rogue Trader stuff. That's my little second edition display. And maybe Warhammer's not your thing. There's miniatures for Fallout, for different TV shows and movies. Marvel right here. I painted this Sentinel and some X-Men, right? You can play Marvel figures. And then my current obsession is Star Wars Legion. They didn't make a Rancor, so I 3D printed and made this Rancor myself. I got my little Luke and Han. And then if you guys are Whatnot fans and been following me on the channel, I've been updating you on my Ewok Village board. This is a lot of months of hard work, scratch built, 3D printed, toy parts. I'm particularly proud of this piece. Any of you toy collectors might recognize what I tried to do. I tried to miniaturize the original 1983 Kenner Ewok Village playset. It's even got like a little working elevator right there. Anyway, this is what is super cool about miniature wargaming. It's building models, it's collecting, it's painting. You want to go after vintage stuff, you can. You want to 3D print and make your own stuff, you can. You want to scratch build arts and crafts and paint and sculpt, you can. You can do whatever you want. The hobby of building it is fun, collecting it is fun, playing the games is fun. I think tabletop miniature games are awesome. All right, thank you so much for watching. Click like, subscribe, the bell, all that stuff for more content like this. Thank you, congratulations, and enjoy.